Welcome back to WTOL 11 Your Day. Northwest Ohio is full of history and tradition.
And you don't have to go very far to step back in time and experience what it would be like to live and work on the Erie Canal.
Yeah, very cool. Maya May headed out to the Anthony Wayne Trail, formerly a part of the Erie Canal, to immerse herself in that historic experience.
We're at Providence Metropark, where we'll be exploring the history of a canal in Ohio. I'm joined by the Canal Experience Coordinator, Jody McFarland, who will be giving us a little bit of the history and tell us a little bit about his experience. Jody, can you go ahead and tell us what it's been like to conduct this canal boat?
It's a fantastic experience. It's a great way to interact with the public and to show, you know, kind of a hidden gem here in Providence, which is a beautiful, beautiful park. I've been here almost 8.5 years, and other than a couple years where we had to disappear for COVID, you know, it's a great staycation spot for families. We see a lot of field trips, so we're able to share the history of the area of Providence, the history of the Maumee River, the history of the Maya May and Erie Canal, which actually went from Toledo to Cincinnati in the 19th century. And it's a great way to get people out and see this park and see the natural features here as well.
And so it is also so much more than that. You know all about the history of this canal. Let's start with your fashion attire happening right here.
Yeah, well, this is not my normal run to Kroger clothing, but this is period appropriate attire. The Canal Experience, when we operate, we are first person interpreters. So we live in the year 1876 and we travel the canal in 1876. So everything we do, say, and our interactions with the groups that travel with us, we're all in 1876. So this would be a little more appropriate for that time period as opposed to 2022. So I do get some odd looks once in a while.
When they look outside the windows on the canal, what are they going to see? You're going to be explaining the history. What does that look like?
So we'll explain some of the history. It looks a little different now, obviously, than it did once upon a time. There are some modern factors that you have to account for, but generally speaking, they'll see a lot of the natural features of the park. They'll be focused mostly on the person giving the interpretation and who will be explaining the accommodations and features of the boat, and we'll talk a lot about the lock. We'll also experience passing by the Isaac Ludwig Mill, which would have been something the passengers would have seen as they were traveling along. That building, most of it has been around since about the 1840s, so it's been here quite a long time. You'll also pass under a railroad bridge. Part of the reason we interpret in 1876 is the first incarnation of that railroad bridge appeared about that time. Well, we don't like to pretend it's not there, and 1876 really is an interesting transition year, much like we experience now. So it's very relatable to people because a lot of things are changing, and that train bridge is a great way to explain how the canal is seeing its demise, more or less, thanks to inventions like the train.
So how is this canal boat operated?
Well, so the canal boat itself operates and it moves the same way it would have in 1876. It's pulled by 2 mules. So Molly and Sally, they've been at this about 19 years, I think is what I remember hearing. And they'll attach to this tow line and they'll pull the boat up and down the canal. Goes at a whopping 4 miles an hour. Historically, those mules would have pulled for about 8 hours, and then a fresh team of mules would have come off the boat, and the tired team would go back on the boat and rest. So if you were traveling, you might have been traveling with livestock, and preferably mules.
So you can find your way right here at the Providence Metropark to this beautiful wooden canal boat. And if you are interested in that, you can find out more at the WTOL website. In Grand Rapids, Maya May, WTOL 11.
I've done that. It's so much fun. It's really cool.
I was going to say, I think it's on my summer bucket list.
You should put it on your list, and you know, it's just kind of in the middle of this Metro Park, and it's like, oh wow, let's go on a boat ride. And it's they do it in that, you know, the historical, and it's just a lot of fun. So I highly recommend that.
Yes.